looking at Luke chapter 11 and verse number 2. Again, that's Luke chapter 11 and verse number 2. And we have gone from our Father, which art in heaven, to hallowed be thy name. Yes, today our subject is hallowed be thy name, which means that I am honoring the name of God. What does it mean to hallow? To hallow means to honor, to reverence, to respect, to revere, to hold in high esteem, to hold in high regard, to see as sacred, to see it's not common, it's not ordinary. Hallowed be thy name, which is sacred is thy name. I respect your name. And when we say name, we're talking about the power, the authority, not just the words. Many times when people see the name, they get caught up in the name. But it's not just the name itself, but it is the consciousness. It is what you think of when you say the name. It is the power that the name represents, the authority that the name represents. So when Jesus teaches his disciples at their request to pray, he says, our Father, which is the relationship between you and God, which art in heaven, which is putting you in a posture and a position to be able to connect with God in a way that is above any other relationship that you have. And then it says, hallowed be thy name, which means I'm in a respecting your power, your authority, all that your name represents. Now, people have a lot of controversy about what is God's name. I mean, a lot of controversy. Pulley point number one. Pulley point number one, God's name is not God. I'm going to just say that. Pulley point number one, God's name. What is God's name? Pulley point number one, God's name is not God. So when people say God, you can have big G-O-D, you can have little G-O-D. Many people in many different religions refer to their higher power, as they call it in 12-step programs. Whoever their higher power is referred to as God. So pulley point number one, God's name is not God. So when we say, hallowed be thy name, God's name is not God. God is a title. God is a position of honor, a position of power. God means deity. God means divine. But God's name is not God. God is a title or a position. So it says, hallowed be thy name. We know that God's name is not God. Pulley point number one. Pulley point number two, when we say, hallowed be thy name, many people say Jehovah. Now, when you say Jehovah in original language, now, I speak English, I don't really know Greek and Hebrew that well, but historically, I did learn in seminary that there were no J's in the Hebrew language. So God's name is not really Jehovah because there were no J's in the language. Jehovah, we get Jehovah is an English derivative. So people get real stuck on, God's name is Jehovah. Well, there were no J's in the original language. And so even if my name is, I remember taking Spanish and my name is Durrell, and there was no translation for Durrell. So I became Ronaldo, which was Reginald. In Spanish, that there were no Durrell in Spanish, so my name became Ronaldo or Ronaldo, which was my Spanish name, but that was not really my name. It was the translation. It was what I was identified with in the language. A lot of times people are hung up on, well, God's name is Jehovah, and we have all of these Jehovah-istic names of God: Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Shalom, Jehovah Sidkenu, Jehovah Mekadesh, Jehovah Rohi, Jehovah Rapha. I mean, all these Jehovah-istic names of God. And Jehovah is the English derivative of God's name. So don't even get really stuck on Jehovah, because that's not a full, complete translation of God's name, but it is an English derivative, the closest thing that we have in the English language to be able to translate the Hebrew of what God's name is. So pulley point number one, God's name is not God. Pulley point number two, English is Jehovah is an English derivative of God's name. Bullet point number 3. So when we say, well, what is God's name? God's name is Yahweh or Yahweh, which is the Hebrew name. Yahweh. Have y'all heard the song? Have y'all heard any songs lately with Yahweh, Yahweh? We love you, Yahweh. We praise you. That would be the original Hebrew name of God. And they saw God's name as so sacred that they would take the vowels out. So when it was written, it would just be the Y, the H, the W, and the Y. They would leave the vowels out because they saw God's name as so holy and so sacred, so hallowed, that they would not even have the vowels in the name, because when they wrote it, they wanted to make sure that it was always in a sacred setting, that it was never common, that it was never just something that you said, just something that you wrote. They reserved special times when they actually said God's name because they saw God's name as hallowed. And so Yahweh or Yahweh is the name of God. When you're dealing with the Bible and the God of the Bible, Yahweh is the name of the God of the Bible. The Christian God, the Hebrew God, the Jewish God, the correct name would be Yahweh. And now, you said, well, what does Yahweh mean? All right. And that takes us into where we are. Yahweh, it means I am that I am. All right. Yahweh just simply means I am that I am. So whenever we say Yahweh, we're saying I am that I am, just like we say Jehovah, which is the English derivative. When we say Yahweh, it's always something added to it, like Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Nisi. It means I am that I am your victorious banner. I am that I am your health. I am that I am peace. I am that I am sanctification, the one who sanctifies. I am that I am your shepherd. So Yahweh simply means I am that I am. So whatever the way that we hallow God's name is that we think of the I am that I am. We hallow God's name by being careful of how we use the I am. Well, how do I hallow God's name today? Is that I see God as the I am that I am, and that I get my amness from God. So I hallow God's name by whenever I use I am, that I only use it to things that are positive, things that are productive, things that are permanent. I'm careful with how I use I am, because I am is the family name. It's like Jehovah, Yahweh is I am that I am, and I am I am. So I have a part of God's name that is a part of me. You know how when you're married and you're in a family, you get the family name, even though you have your own first name. And sometimes people even named after their parents. My son is Darrell Reginald Pulley II. We had the same name. He just had second added to it. Now he's going by D. Reginald or Reginald Pulley to have his own identity, his own expression. But he still has the family name, which is Pulley. And so what I'm saying to you is that when you say I am, you referring to the family name. You are referring to your divinity. You are referring to God's name, because God's name is I am that I am, and your name is I am. That's the name that you have been given as a part of being made in the image and in the likeness of God. So the way that you hallow God's name is that when you reference the I am, that you always use it in a way that is positive, a way that is productive, a way that is permanent, because you recognize that this is the family name. I am that I am, and I am made in the image and in the likeness of the I am that I am. Therefore I am. And so God is the I am that I am, and I am as a result of the I am that I am. I get my amness from God. So I don't ever use I am to anything that's negative, to anything that's limited, because I hallow God's name. Even one of the commandments that were given to the Jews was do not take the Lord's name in vain. Well, what is the Lord's name? Point number 1, we learned it's not God. We learned that Jehovah is an English translation of the name of God. And we learned that the Hebrew name of God is Yahweh or Yahweh, which means I am that I am. So hallow I am that I am. And when you pray, if you desire to pray in that I pray often, I said in the consciousness of the I am, that I am. I remind myself of the truth. Whenever you say I am that I am, I wonder what would happen in your prayer life if you refer to God. I am that I am. I love you. I am that I am. I praise you. I am that I am. I give you glory. Or using the name Yahweh. Now, however you desire to do it, I desire to awaken your consciousness, your awareness of I am that I am. And the amness that you are. The I am that I am means that I am all sufficient, that I'm not dependent on anyone or anything for my existence. I exist on my own. I am my own existence. No one else is responsible for my being, for my amness. I am that I am. And because I am made in the image and likeness of God, I am. If it were not for the I am that I am, then there is no I am. And so I hallow God's name when I recognize the amness that I have that comes from God. So whenever the two most powerful words that you can say is I am. And the name of God is I am that I am. That would be the proper English translation of the name of God. And so Yahweh or Yahweh is the God of the Bible, the Hebrew name for God. So I hope that you are really, give me some thumbs up, give me some high fives, give me some hearts if you're processing this, if you're understanding this. This is a teaching today. Hallowed be thy name. What is thy name? Bully point number one, it's not God. Pulley point number two, Jehovah is just an English translation. Pulley point number three, the real name of God, the God of the Bible, is Yahweh or Yahweh. And what does that mean? I am that I am. What does it mean for me on an individual basis? It means that I am. I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of the daily download. Go in your amness today. I am that I am is telling you to be all that you can be, for it is in God. It is in the I am that I live, that I move, and I have my being. I have my amness in God. I love you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for being a part of the daily download. Sow a seed, meet a need, boost this post. If you're looking for a shorter version of today's message, you can find it on Instagram. You can find it on Twitter as well. You can go back and see previous messages on our YouTube channel. And we don't do weekends and we don't do holidays. So until Monday morning at 6:30 a.m., I'll be back with your daily download. And remember, God is doing something wonderful in me, and God is doing something wonderful in you.